When they asked Helen Keller what she preferred, being deaf or blind, she chose being blind because deaf is communication. I mean, that's the essence of relationships. That's probably what's been the most difficult part of losing my hearing. Growing up, I was, alone because my mother worked. My father, of course, worked. By my mother being away and not giving me that much time, I lived in another world. My mother wanted me to look prim and proper, and I didn't want to look that way. If my mother went to work, I would change my clothes, get ready for school, and as soon as I came home, changed back again, and became another person. So it was going back and forth the way she wanted me to look and the way that I wanted to look. I was an outsider, and so I created. I would sing, I would dance, and just do a lot of dreaming. One day I could feel that I was just a very sophisticated woman that was going to a meeting with lots of executives, and the next day I could be extremely sexy. I remember playing with Barbies a lot. I really got into the Barbies. With me, it would be that if Barbie was going to have sex with Ken, she would have to look like Ava Gardner having sex with Frank Sinatra. My mother was an interior designer, and I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I'll become an interior designer. Anything to make mommy happy. I go to design school, and I get a job in New York. I ended up falling in love with my second cousin. I ended up getting married, who my mother wasn't very happy about, but anyhow. I ended up having a child with him who happened to be profoundly deaf. His name is Ricky. When my parents found out Ricky was deaf, my God, I thought they were going into mourning, as if they had put him in a cemetery. My mother had a very difficult time dealing with it. It was all about her, and then it was all about to have an imperfect child. When he was growing up, I had to do everything I could to keep the tears back. I would go into the bathroom. I would never do it in front of him. I was his best friend. Because you have to understand there wasn't any closed captioning on television at that time. Where was he going to get any kind of information? You want to be able to hear music. You want to be able to hear, he didn't have any of that. The part that I kept on giving him was that, it's a challenge, but we're going to get over this. And when I first found out that I had a hearing problem, it was shocking. At one point I thought I must be having sympathy pains, that my son is deaf, and maybe that's the reason why I can't hear. And when I would go to doctors, they would say, it usually does not happen where first the child has a congenital loss and then the mother starts losing the hearing. It was a progressive loss. So there wasn't really any way for me to know how bad it was going to be. That was the most terrifying thing in the world, never knowing when it was going to stop. It got to the point where the hearing aids didn't help me anymore. I had to have a cochlear implant. I can lip read what you're saying. When I take these processors off, I hear nothing. Now, if there's any kind of music that's from today or from the 80s, anytime that I lost my hearing, that gap, I don't know. I mean, if American Idol went on, I could tell you right now that I have to ask my husband, how do they sing? Do they have a nice voice or don't they have a nice voice? I couldn't get it. How can I explain to you how frustrating it is? It's a frustrating disability. It's very hard to accept. I cope with it because I have to cope with it. I'm working with people all day long. If I didn't cope with it, oh my God. I am not the typical owner of a vintage shop. Because I had to take care of Ricky, there wasn't any way that I would be able to take on a job. So on Saturdays and Sundays, I would do flea markets. I got so popular that I was doing things that were so outrageous, and I would open up my trunk. I would sell jewelry across from Saks on a Sunday. The cops would say to me, you have to move your car. I would go around a few blocks and I'd go back again. I sold more jewelry to the people that worked at Saks, and that's where it all started. There is not even a question in my mind that when you lose a sense, the other senses are much greater. My visual is an explosion of color. To look at these pieces that you'll never ever see again. The colors, the fabrics, the whole feeling of being amongst all of this. They're amazing. I always say that when you walk in here, leave all the crap outside. Here, you become alive. There's pieces that are 100% where my past was. That's what makes C. Madeleine's very different. C. Madeleine's is so filled with fantasy. And you look at this store and you see 12 decades of fashion. I go all the way back into the early 1900s. I'm probably a bit of a hoarder. Nothing comes into the store without me seeing it. Nothing. There are some people that bring in pieces that are so exceptional, and I just know in my heart that I will never ever see those pieces ever again. The consigners that come into me, they're very willing to talk to me about their lives. And that's what I think I was meant to do in my lifetime. I was meant to have all of these people gather around me and have them bring their life stories into my life. And there's been people that say that they have been reincarnated in me. Their mothers have been reincarnated in me. Their sisters have been reincarnated in me. And I think that there is a camaraderie of people that really feel the same way. So I look at it like I have to hold these pieces very, very dear until somebody else comes along and buys them, and then I let them go. People get upset because they can't talk to me on the phone, but when they come in here, I need to speak to Madeleine. I need to tell her my story. I need to show her my pieces, and they get very, very excited about showing me their babies. I feel for them. I know what it's like to give up their belongings, their history. Losing something that is so very, very important to your being makes you think that there is a life beyond the material items in the world. Really, even up until the day that she died, I was always trying to make Mommy happy. When she had her stroke, she did compliment me for the first time in my life, but she would say, "I love what you are doing." And it was the only time that I ever heard her say, "I love you." I felt like I was really good at what I did for my son. Really good. But there's a part of me that feels that he's angry with me. What kind of mother, doesn't feel responsible?
I have to say that I cannot believe what an amazing mother you are. I'm in awe. It's hard enough to be a great mother without having a deaf child. And what a battle that is. The triumph of being the kind of mother that you've been, I have no words.
Thank you.
I have a question. Would you ever
You need to accept your power.
Would you ever, trade your experiences if you were given the opportunity?
No.
Why?
Because I think it's been a real trip. I think if I had to trade and go back to what I would have wanted other people to have expected of me, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. I'd be that little robot, and I just wouldn't be Madeleine. I just wouldn't be me. This store developed into this fabulous fantasy world. We built this store on my heart and passion, and I always said the day that goes away is the day that I close up shop, and it hasn't gone away. If anything, it's made me more passionate. It's made me more sensitive to people. These beautiful pieces are part of my life. They're all my little children here. It's been a journey, and I think I still have to continue on this journey, and I'm not ready to give it up yet. I wouldn't train this for anything in the world.